length times the width gives you your area. Okay. If we're going to find the area of a rectangle, and we are doing it with Pythagorean theorem, because I'm not just going to flat out give you the side lengths. I'm not going to do that. What you're going to do is make a triangle in the rectangle and find the missing side. Step 3. Just kidding. Step 2. Is to multiply the length and width. To get your area. I'm not asking you to find the area here. I'm asking you to find the diagonal. Because for a lot of these problems, that's the length that you're going to have to find, or that's the length that you're going to have to use. So let's draw a rectangle and label what we know. We know the length is 35 and the width is 12. So I'm going to make 35 the longer side. 35 feet. And I'll make the width the shorter side. If you tilted it a different way, that's fine. And we also know that rectangles have right angles. I'm just going to do one like top left and one bottom right. That implies that the other ones are also right angles. Okay, it says find the diagonal. We haven't talked about that term before, but talk to your neighbor. What do you think that means? Okay, what do you guys think the diagonal is? Could someone raise your hand and then take a good shot at what you think that might be? Zachary, what do you think it is?
The line that splits two sides.
So like you said, the line that splits the two sides? Right, so if I draw a line like this, then I get two right triangles, right? So because of how I've labeled my sides, do you guys see the right triangles? Yeah. Those right triangles, both of them are going to be the same, but let's use the one that's already labeled. So it says find the diagonal. The diagonal is this line in the middle. So if you struggled on the do now, then you need to pay close attention because, again, we're solving. Jazavion, which side is C? I want you guys just to look at this triangle right here. Maybe that'll help you see it. Juwan, which side is C? The one that's marked as X, because if you draw an arrow from that right triangle or right angle on the rectangle, it leads you to X. The diagonal is always going to be C on these rectangle problems. Okay, so let's write Pythagorean theorem and go ahead and solve. A squared plus B squared equals C squared. If we're solving for a diagonal, then we're solving for the hypotenuse because it's that side across from the right angle. We just said that X has to be C because it's across from the right angle. And the other two sides then have to be A and B. Please try that one on your own. I definitely don't know what 35 squared is. Is it 1,225?
1,000.
Hey, thanks, Francesca. I looked at your paper. We did this on our do now. Add them up, and you get. Is this right?
Yep.
Thanks, Francesca. And then you take the square root.
37.
And that one is nice and pretty. You press the second x squared button and you get what? 37. Okay, double check your work. 37 needs to be the longest side because it was the hypotenuse, which is the longest side. Is 37 bigger than 12 and 35?
Yes.
Then that's a quick way to check and see if you did it hopefully correct. It says make a triangle. Do you guys see the right triangles? There's two. There's one on the bottom and then there's one on the top. They're the same triangle, so it doesn't matter which one you use. It's a little bit confusing right now because you don't see right angles. These are rectangles, so they have right angles. Draw them in. There's right angles at every single corner. You could draw it in every single corner if you want. Now, we got to find C. This is kind of confusing because all I see right now is a rectangle with a line drawn. So make sure it's obvious to you that you have a triangle here. Maybe like outline it if you need to. Oh, there it is. Bella, which side is C? Is it 24, X, or 30? Is what? 30, because that's the side that's across from the right angle. Okay. This is just like what we did on your do now. We know that 30 is C. And we're going to solve for the missing side. It wasn't labeled, and so I made it X. So what we're doing right now is we're actually solving for the width of this rectangle. Once we have the width, then we can get the area because we'll have length and width. Write down your Pythagorean theorem. And put in what you know. I will say to you again, the people who struggle with this unit are the people that refuse to show the work. Show the work so you don't make silly mistakes. Riley, what should I put in for C? 30. We just marked it. And then 24 and X are A and B. Try that one on your own and check it with your neighbor. Okay, I'm doing it on the board. You should subtract 576 because you're solving for a leg. Help. 324. Is that right? Yeah. Okay. Take the square root. What do you guys get? 18. Okay. So we know that X is 18. Let's actually go back and label that on our rectangle now because this is a two-part problem. You solved for the missing side, but you're not done because we're talking about area today. So we should go back and label 18 as the width. Because we actually just solved for a side length of the rectangle. Yeah, Juwan? The last thing we need to do, it says find the area. Area is length times width. Alice, what's my length and what's my width?
What was the question?
I need my length and width. What are those two numbers?
24 and 16.
18. So area is 24 times 18. The length is 24. The width is 18. 30 is a diagonal, so it should not be used to find your area. You should probably get a pretty big number. 432, and since we don't have units here, we're going to put units squared. Or u squared. You've seen me do that a little bit. I can label all of them X because they should all have the same measure, so I shouldn't put different variables because they're all going to be equal. So if I just focus on one of these right triangles, then I should be able to use Pythagorean theorem. Seamus, which side is C? Oh, I thought you said 10. It's got to be, okay, look at your right angle. Remember we draw an arrow across from it? So 10 is C because it's across from the right angle. Okay, I just care about the green triangle because both triangles are the same. We're going to use Pythagorean theorem. This one is a little bit tricky, but I'm confident you can do it. Francesca, what should I put for C? That's C.
Oh.
Which one's 10? Cross from the right angle. Going to be 10. So we're going to put in 10 for C because it's across from the right angle and because we are using it on the diagonal. So we're going to label x squared. We're going to put in x and x because they're the same. Okay, this is where it might be helpful for you to just watch because we haven't done like terms like this before. These are like terms because their variables are exactly the same. So I'm going to combine them and say that I have 2x squareds equals 100 because 10 times 10 is 100. If you were to pretend that the little 2 wasn't there, then 2 is just being multiplied to x squared. How do I get rid of multiplication? Division. So divide by 2. X squared is equal to 50. And I want x by itself. What's the opposite of squared? Square root. So whatever that is. What's the square root of 50? 7.1. X is approximately 7.1. You could actually leave that in your calculator. So if I know that all of the side lengths are 7.1, then my area is just 7.1 squared. Because we talked about at the beginning of this unit how I can take my side length and square it, and that gives me the area of a rectangle. No, of the area of a square. I think it's like, should come out to be right about 50.